Right now, we're going to get into building and repairing credit, which I know Brian has so much to give us. And this is honestly for anybody, mainly for first time home buyers that want to buy within 6 to 12 months. But regardless, even in whenever you're in that space, you're like, hey, I'm thinking of buying a home. This is a good way to prepare for it. So he's going to give us how to build your credit from scratch, how to repair damaged credit, and also any mistakes to avoid, because we don't want to make these mistakes. We can avoid these mistakes, then we can actually improve our credit to getting into the home that we want.
Building for a lot of people, especially when you look at people who come from overseas and have never had to deal with credit before. I know that's a really, really big thing. Yo hablo español. So like we deal big in that community, and not everyone has the same understanding because not everywhere in the world has the same kind of credit system that we do. And even the folks that grow up here, we don't teach on any of this in school. Like I learned how to sew a pillow in home ec, and I never had to do that again, but I didn't learn credit or taxes, right? So some of the easiest things for building credit is one, establishing a revolving account, a credit card, whether secured or unsecured. And the difference being secured card is where I have to put down a security deposit, which is why they call it secured. It's like your security deposit on rent. I have to give them that because they don't know me yet. And then they'll give me the card. It's not a prepaid card. That balance is just want to sit there like kind of in a bank, almost like an escrow for that company. And I'm going to get a normal card that I can use in a normal manner. And I want people using their cards, I'm going to say it over and over again, between the 1 and 10% usage. That 1 to 10% is where they should hover. It's the best place to be, and then making on-time payments. Another big thing about trying to establish a credit score and trying to, I don't want to say cut corners, but maybe warp speed the whole process is if I've had a card for 10 years and I'm trying to help my wife establish her credit because we never really took it seriously. Maybe she wasn't working. Maybe everything was going in my name because I was main income. But now she's working. It's like, oh my goodness, we should have done this the whole time because it's a tool I have and not need, the need to not have. Well, she's always set up her own revolving account. But in addition to her setting up her own revolving account, do I have a perfect payment card? It's never been late, always been on time. That's 1 to 10% usage that I can add her to as an authorized user. They call it piggybacking, where she gets all of my history. So if my wife had one card that was 3 months old and she jumps on I have a credit one that's like 25 or 23 years old. Well, now her length of credit, which is 15% score, like we talked in the last video, just exploded. I was like Mount Vesuvius, just bam, out of nowhere. And she gets all of my on-time payments in her payment history. So it's a way to, I'd say, cheat the system, but I don't want to cheat the system for my consumers, is to help kind of jump into or jump ahead of where they normally would be and get some more experience on their report. So establishing a credit card, whether secured or unsecured, and if you've applied for cards before and they said no, I've got a couple different companies that we send folks to that are all but guaranteed approval, that we know to be reputable, that will work with people to help get them set up, because it's one of the biggest things. For the authorized user tip, always talk to the person bluntly. If you're not talk to your sister, your brother, it's got to be a close family member. Don't jump on your buddies from work. You don't even know his last name. This should be something like a key to your house. Who would you give it to? Your best friend? Maybe my mom, my dad, my sister. Yes. Depending on which sister, just joking, sister. But it's someone thing that should be really, really close, and someone that's really, really connected to you that you trust. Because on the authorized user one, if I go late and I don't make my monthly payment, it reflects the same way on my wife's. So it can hurt her just as much as it can hurt me. That's a responsibility that when you're getting on someone else's card, you're giving them responsibility and control over your credit scores a little bit, which can be a dangerous thing. And then aside from establishing a revolving account and getting a small balance to limit ratio, I always tell people another good credit builder, and a lot of local banks will have this. If you do anything, you want to make sure they report to all 3 bureaus. That way you're helping out TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian and seeing all your scores rise, is a credit builder installment loan. And what these are, it's they take $1,000 from you, you pay it up front, and then you essentially make payments on your $1,000 that they're holding on to, so you get it back at the end of the 2 years. It shows on-time payment history. It shows activity. It's not a credit card, so you still need that other thing, but it starts to just give more little check marks on saying, hey, they're doing a good job, they're making their payments. The only kicker on those installment accounts, is their installment account is X amount of payments over Y amount, or X amount of payment over Y amount of payments. So on installment loan, auto loan, personal loan, or these credit builders, there's an end date. So that's one of the things to always keep in mind. I've talked to people who are like, I have 3 credit builders. I don't want to get a credit card because I'm not a big fan of credit cards. You have to, because these will eventually cease. You'll hit your limit and you're going to get your money back. And now I can start a new one, but that's shortening my length of credit and all the different things. Whereas credit cards are like diamonds, they can last forever. So as long as I don't let that credit card get shut down because I continue to use it and I make my on time payments, you can have a credit card for 20, 30, 40 years as long as they don't shut it down on you. Okay. So that's how to establish, with everything that's happened since COVID. And even before that, I've been at the company here for coming up on 11 years and absolutely love doing what we do. I'm very passionate. I travel the country in addition to doing things like this, educating people. One of the big things that we help people with, that we have tools as a fintech platform, is helping, and it's a quote unquote, I always say restoring or like revitalizing. I know the common phrase, but I just think it's kind of icky because of other companies out there that have done a bad job of it. But repairing someone's credit is, there's really 2 ways to be able to help out that 35% of the credit score that's payment history. One is letting time heal all wounds. It takes a lot of time and you have to be very patient. And during that time, you pay out the nose for anything that you're financing. Anything that you're touching is going to be a higher amount, because the lower the credit score is, the higher the rate. The only other way than letting time heal all wounds, or not the only way, but one of the main common ways, is through a disputing process. Whether it's a consumer doing it themselves, there are companies that do it for consumers, or companies like myself that I don't dispute the items for the clients. As clients actually dispute them through our platform. They're the ones driving, they're the ones in control of the AI and all that stuff. The way it works is there's federal law that was passed back in the day called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That law, and it's a long one, but the part that really applies to this is for a creditor to report anything, good, bad, or other, on a consumer, it must be 100% accurate, complete, and verifiable, and cannot be misleading or obsolete in any way, shape, or form. I'm a nerd. So when a client does it themselves, whether it's through an online platform, which is kind of the most base level way to go after any like collections or lates, things in that history that are hurting them. Well, when they target it through, whether it's online, writing their own letters, which you can see on YouTube, which is still one of the funniest things in the world, like snail mail is still a thing for the time being, or using a fintech company like ours, is it challenges the validity of that collection, of that late pay, of that charged off credit card, whatever it may be. It starts a 30-day window. At the end of that 30-day window, if the creditor, the collection agency, or even for some clients, it's like municipalities, they're like, I didn't go through with that bankruptcy. Why is this still here? I don't agree with it. Well, at the end of the 30 days, if they can't or won't provide the information, or the information isn't deemed to be 100%, that has to come off the credit report or be correct in the client's favor. So that's one of the quickest ways. And it's not a Harry Potter wand. It's not a snap and it's gone. There are things that are historically harder for clients, newer mortgage late pays that were actual factual. Well, you're trying to get them on a technicality of, I don't know, Nation Star, Mr. Cooper not answering in the 30 days from the late pay from 4 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever it may be. And there are items that are historically a little bit easier, which are like third-party collections or medical collections and things like that, because it's transferred hands a couple of times from the doctor to insurance to collection, because this collection agency of that one, it makes it to where there can be gaps or holes in the information. Whenever we're working with a client signs on with us, we really, really like to put people to work, which sounds funny. Like when someone hires me, I'm like a personal trainer. I'm like, great, thank you for paying. Now let's put you to work, because it's their credit, their finances. So one of the other big things that we look at, and I do feel it's one of the things that kind of delineates or differentiates us from everyone else in our industry of trying to get people into a loan ready spot where they can really move forward, is what can the consumer do when they have the funds to do so? And we have budget tools for this as well, because like most things in the world, credit can cost money. Is what can the consumer do on their side to get into a better spot? And one of the really, really big ones, all like just for free advice for everyone, but once again, you still have to talk to Michelle before you do anything crazy, is medical collections. About a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, got with the bureaus and said, hey, way too much medical debt on everyone's credit report. It was like 54% of the total debt on collections on credit reports were medical in nature, which is just crazy. I understand if you got Ferrari and you didn't make your payments, you should get slapped for that. But like if it's your kiddo got sick and there's a problem with the insurer in the hospital and all that, that's craziness to me. The CFPB came to the bureaus and said, hey, how about no medical collections under $500 can make it on credit reports? They have to wait 12 months from going into a collection status to be able to hit a credit report. And should the consumer pay off that collection, it will come off of the credit report. It's the only collection out of all of them that is certain to come off after it's been paid. It could be 30 days, it could be 60. Sometimes we can expedite that with a little bit of expertise and some pushing, but it's the only one that does it. Well, Brian, should I pay all my medical collections right now? Hold on. Never know how you pay some that's not yours. Never know how you pay or not pay some that is yours. But there's a time and place, as I said a moment ago, on when and what to pay. If it's something from 3 months ago, it's killing your credit score. And yeah, if your credit score is one of the main things holding you back from getting a loan, you should probably pay that. Still want to look at it, but you should probably pay that. If it's 4 years old and there's a whole bunch of other stuff from the last 2 years, then no, paying that might not get you any points. Whereas these are the items that we need to focus your attention and everything else into. That's why helping people get the scores that they deserve and the scores that they're willing to work for. It's one of the things, and it's one of the 4 things that we really focus on here at UQual is the tech, going after it with the disputes and giving the client the tools to be able to monitor their credit and track and gauge and watch it go where it needs to go, but also the expertise on what to do and what not to do. Not to sound Shakespearean with it, but like what to pay and what not to pay can have a massive impact on how quickly they get to where they're going, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And I just have a quick question. So I know I've seen this with other collections just in general, but with medical, is there also an opportunity for you to negotiate because it can get into collections, right? So I'm just curious how that works because I've suggested it and I've seen it, but I just want to hear it from your side because, you're the expert here. But that's actually something that I've seen and I've suggested like, hey, you don't have to pay the whole thing. Once UQual gives me the okay that that's the one we're targeting, then I'm like, great, let's do it because usually we're a partnership. So then we'll go ahead and target and say, hey, if you can negotiate what you have, what you're able to pay right now, let's do that.
And they're way more likely, the way you say it, I love it, with what you have right now. Because negotiating, hey, you say I owe you 3K, I'm willing to do 1575. And I always tell people like do a weird number, like actually like 1572 and 85 cents, like you pulled them out of the couch cushions or something like that. It's because I want to make it sound like it's really they're stretching beyond what they even should be or could be, and they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. The thing I would say though is just like everything else, it depends. And the reason it depends is we're going to be looking at there's some collection agencies that I know will do what's called a pay for delete, even on non-medical debt, to where, hey, we have to settle for no less, like we can't go below 75% with this company. Because if we go below 75%, the chances of them giving you a letter of deletion, which is where someone pays a collection, the collection agency actually takes it off of the credit report and proving that payment history, well, they won't do it if you go under 75%. Whereas this medical collection, I know this company, they'll settle for 30 cents on the dollar, and as soon as you pay it, it's off of the credit report within 30, 60 days. So the it depends part is always going to be part of my answer. But absolutely, I tell people, as much as I say pay to Caesar what is Caesar's and all that, is these companies, especially collection agencies, to explain how it works, they buy debt for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. Especially medical collection or like third party, like non-credit card and stuff like that. They're paying maybe 10, 15 cents max. A charge-off credit card bought by a collection agency is probably bought by 40 cents on the dollar. So if I charge off Amex and go $10,000, the collection agency is buying it for $4,000. That's high. Well, if I settle for 7, I'm still saving 3 compared to the 10 I would have paid and that they're chasing me for. And the collection agency is getting back the 4 they put in and 3 on top of that. So I always tell folks, like, go into these things. And it's one of the things we do coach on here. I've turned nice little old ladies in Alabama into like silver tongue aggressive like negotiators on the phone. Like, don't take no for an answer, Belinda. Like, you keep calling, and it can take multiple calls. It can take multiple attempts. It can take just like anything else in life. And Thomas Paine said, like, the things that we have to strive for are things that we hold most dear because it's effort, and having to obtain things through struggle sometimes makes them more valuable to us. Some of these calls that will help clients say negotiate and try and get this down to 50%. And sometimes it's negotiating, and Michelle, this, just to get something, it's 5% of this non-medical debt's going to be too much for your debt to income. If we can set up a payment plan for what equals 2%, well, now their debt to income isn't no longer holding them back, and they're able to take care of that debt as they move forward. So it can hit on several different avenues, right? But having someone in your corner to help coach you through that, because not everyone, they get on the phone with collection agency, it sounds scary. They're like yelling at you. They're kind of rude, and people just say, "Okay, I'm so sorry, sorry. No, yeah, let's go ahead." So it starts with a four, and they start giving up their information where you're still in control because until they have something, they have nothing, and you're the one who has it for them. So, but it's under the watchful guise of someone like us or someone like Michelle to make sure that you're paying the right thing at the right time. Because I've
Right.
seen people do it where they made a payment on something, and I did a soft pull on their credit, and they went from like a 690 to a 610. I'm like, oh no, we told you not to call that one. It's the devil's in the details, as they say.
You're already in that situation, these are the things that I know it seems so like, oh my God, there's so many steps. Also, why there's always mentorship for this. There's a system behind it. It is complicated. Let's be honest. You know, in every person's situation, every situation is so different. Some person can say, okay, what am I supposed to do? But I don't see the other things that are on your credit, so I can't tell you. Or when people are like, "What's my rate?" I really have to actually dig because if I just give you something, you're gonna go off of that, and then that's not fair to you because then, hey, I didn't see everything else. Or if anybody's just giving you like a random pre-approval, yeah, but that's not fair to you, right? Because then you get to the table and you say, I put in an offer and my offer is not going to be accepted because of my debt to income, but no one told me, you know? So there's a lot of things that we want to avoid in terms of like, especially you getting to that excited place, like, oh my gosh, my dream is going to come true of having a house. But now I'm getting stopped because no one told me about my credit or this one thing on my credit report.
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to avoid here. So thank you so much, Brian, for that. That is so helpful. So, so helpful. And especially like setting up certain accounts to actually help with that and all those things because people can be already in these situations that they're finding themselves in like I'm already here. So what do I do now? Right?
And it's backbreaking and heartbreaking the way that you said it. Like when they get the random pre-approval from someone who didn't do a deep dive, they fall in love with a house on Zillow, they take the realtor out for 3 different hours, all to find out that they weren't really there. And it breaks my heart. I see it all the time. And those are like some of the saddest clients, which we get to give hope to. The thing I would say is since Michelle is so amazing that, and I don't just say it, like she really cares about her clients and goes above and beyond, is for those who are, like Michelle said, they're going through it right now. One of the things that we start with at UQual, and being that the people who find me today through this video are going to be coming with Michelle's referral, is you get a free consultation with one of my team members, if not myself, to go over what you can do on your side and what you shouldn't do on your side, regardless of hiring us or not. And just a trained expert that has no time limit and a soft pull to be able to see everything to say, hey, this is where you are, this is what you want, and this is the gap between the two. If you use us and use our tools, great. This is what you get. And because Michelle and where she works, and she gets her clients a huge discount, you don't pay what a normal client pays if you hire UQual. The thing I would say is even for the clients that don't sign on with us, the education on their own specific files and their own specific accounts and their own specific game plan, even when someone doesn't sign up with us, they get to walk away feeling more empowered and informed. And through knowledge is that confidence where they say, okay, now I can actually start taking some of these steps to get from feeling like I'm beat up to actually being able to say with my chest out, like the kids say, and like really have like confidence in when they go to apply with a lender. It's one of my biggest things is watching someone walk away with like a prouder step as they go. You know what I mean? Like they really feel that they've got that control back.
Exactly. Yeah, because we don't know what we don't know, right? And so when there's a team that knows, hey, this is how we are gonna approach it. You're not alone in this, and you have a team backing you. Oh, it's so different the way you walk, the stance that you have. So definitely, definitely awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brian, again for all this information. This was a world of knowledge and I know people are going to take so much from this and I am going to have notes here so people could actually see like okay these are the steps that I can take and of course if we have any more suggestions we'll put it there too. Thank you so much.